Hello and welcome to a very special Randomer Nintendo, the final episode of the year. It's a big one. It's our annual Quarantinis award show where we celebrate the best in movies, games, music, anime, shows, manga, podcasts, whatever that we personally consumed this year. Not necessarily that came out this year, just that we enjoyed this year. I am one of your three presenters of the awards this year. I'm Jason. To my virtual left in a stunning tuxedo, because we dress up for this, I'm assuming. Kevin, are you in a stunning tuxedo?
I'm in boxer shorts.
And that's the vibe of the Quarantinis right there. Yep. All right, we got Kevin in boxer shorts. And Angel, what are you? I don't mean this in a creepy way. What are you wearing?
Pajama pants and a pajama shirt.
So you guys could tell out there we take these awards extremely seriously and classy. Okay, next question then. What are you drinking? Is there a celebratory drink in hand, anyone?
A Pepsi Zero.
All right. Angel?
I think this is the first Quarantinis where I'm not actually drinking alcohol.
Which is ironic because I think it's the first one where I am. Angel, what about you?
Purified water with less than 1% calcium chloride.
Wow. Okay.
Is that a
That's
fact?
specific.
How? Yeah.
Yeah, how do you know that?
Because that's what it says on the ingredients. It's just Kirkland
it's pre-bottled.
signature alkaline water, presumably from Costco.
So we're pretty classy at the Quarantinis, where we wear pajamas and get bottled water that's cheap in bulk. Go us. Although, to be fair, I am drinking a drink. I'm having You Guava Be Kidding Me by the Far
Jesus
West
Christ.
Cider Company, because my puns don't just stop with my tweets. I take bad puns everywhere, and I buy bad puns on my ciders. So there we go. You Guava Be Kidding Me. I literally bought it for the pun. I will say it's actually quite good, though.
Theoretically, if I opened up a liquor store, would I be able to sell Kirkland water?
I don't know. I think usually they have a supply deal, and suppliers deliver Arrowhead or, God forbid, or Aquafina or Dasani. But I have seen some stores sell Kirkland. I don't know if it's under the is it illegal Kirkland sales?
So you have seen liquor stores sell Kirkland. Gotcha. Okay.
I think I had I think actually when we were in New Orleans, we went to I don't remember what the bottle of water was, but it was not a supplied thing. It wasn't a freezer. It was just a case of 30 Crystal Geysers, and it's you can just buy it. It looked like it came out of Costco. So I'm sure some people do it, but I don't know if Costco frowns upon it or whatever.
Generally speaking, anyone can sell someone else's brand so long as there's no counterfeiting or deceit going on. So in other words, as long as the Kirkland products are actually made by Kirkland, you don't have a specific legal agreement with Kirkland/Costco stating that you won't resell their products. Okay, interesting.
There we go. Learning things today, even. Yeah, I actually didn't know that. That makes sense, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how we pivot from that, but I guess with award shows, there is how's it? So usually when you go to award show, right, they do the red carpet and everyone's just bantering about stuff, and then they go inside and they do the main awards. So maybe we do this like that, and we have our normal topics of conversation. The Game Awards just happened. There's some Switch 2 leaks. There's Kirkland buying practices, and then we do the Quarantinis as the big finale where we each break down all our wins.
Yeah, this is the pre-show.
Yeah, this is the pre-show. So this is where about a third of the audience will be. And then when we get to the end, everyone will be tuning in and ready to go. But speaking of people tuning in, Game Awards, did you guys watch it at all?
I forgot what I was doing.
I think I watched the last 30 minutes. No, 40 minutes, but I missed some chunk because when I tuned out and then I tuned back in and Astrobot had already won.
Astrobot swept, to be fair.
I mainly caught up here and there with some trailers, but not even that many trailers. I think I really just saw the Sonic trailer that Kevin tuned me into after the fact.
The 7-second Sonic Racing Cross Worlds trailer, the shortest trailer of the Game Awards.
And then I had only heard about a new Naughty Dog game, so then I checked that out. And that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, the Muppets were cool.
I feel like they found the right Muppets for the show. I enjoyed when they did Beaker and the Professor guy with Untitled Goose Game years ago, but the grumpy Muppets Statler and Waldorf, or whatever their names are, felt like the best fit for. It was like all the Twitter comments the show's ever gotten just said out loud at the show, so it worked pretty well. But Kevin, you're saying did you watch?
I don't know. I didn't watch him live. I forgot what I was doing, quite honestly, on that Thursday night.
Yeah, I had a feeling something was up because we have a pretty active text chain normally when the awards are happening, and it was quiet. So I was like, huh. I mean, I watched it because I was physically in the room. So if I didn't want to, if I wanted to like close my eyes, I'd still listen.
Oh, I remember what I was doing.
What were you doing?
I went speed dating this past Thursday.
Oh, well, hold on. Pre-show. How was that? How's that experience?
I had a good time. I would do it again. I will do it again.
Hey, was
Angel,
that your
you're
first time
coming with
doing
me. Yeah, that was my first time. Yeah.
I think, Angel, you've done a variant of that before, right?
It wasn't so much a variant as it literally was that.
Yeah, I didn't remember if it was real speed dating or some other thing. But I was giving you an out if it was not speed dating. But yeah, that's a good reason.
It was fun. I do remember thinking, kind of like Kevin said, like oh yeah, I totally would do this again. But then I just felt busy and I just kind of like I'll save this for another time. I think I last went. It was like around February. That was the last time I went.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like, though, you might have motivation to do it again because Kevin's going to drag you along or bring you along, depending on your perspective. But okay, so that's why you didn't do the Game Awards. That makes sense.
Yep.
Sounds like you guys at least caught up with the news after a little. I will say, as someone that was physically there, I thought it was a good show this year.
So sorry.
I feel like there's like...
I think that's the general consensus that this is probably one of the better ones in this industry.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it works out very nicely. It was for the Milestone 10th anniversary show. That was a good one. But I do think like there's some elements that obviously Jeff Keighley and his production team control. You know, things like if they cut off speakers when they're giving acceptance speeches, if they wrap it up, if they don't acknowledge industry issues, you know, whatever, the critiques they've gotten over the years. And they seem to have addressed all those. Like, it was paced really well. They did this great segment with, oh man, what is his name? There was a guy who basically all he does is help laid off game developers like find new jobs. Like he created a whole like network of things, and he was he got a special award called Game Changer for it. He's wearing a really awesome Zelda jacket actually, but like that was kind of a nice moment that I feel like was based strictly on feedback the show has gotten in the past. I'm completely blanking on his name. This guy, I feel like, oh right, it was Amir Savat, something like that. But yeah, he like helped 3,000 people get jobs again or something like that. So like it was, or like create a network for them to be able to. So like that was kind of cool. But so there's some element of the show that's, you know, Jeff and the production and what they're able to control. And that's like half of what makes the Game Awards good or bad a given year. And then the other half is the industry just has to be in the right place at the right time. And I feel like this year the two dovetailed perfectly because the industry is coming off kind of a slower year. A lot of stuff, a lot of big IPs coming back. And then, like, production-wise, like, Jeff and the team found a really good groove this year and, like, took in a lot of feedback to make it, like, you know, the right pacing, the right time for speeches. There could have been more awards for sure, but, like actual awards, like time for awards. But overall, it felt like it really was a response to how the last few years' feedback has gone. So I thought that was cool. Were you going to say something, okay?
I mean, the fact they don't even show the bumper for world premiere anymore, or I don't think they even did last year. I mean, they couldn't just sped that up. It's just like, yeah, here's a new trailer. They're just like, yeah, we're not going to bombard you with world premiere.
World premiere. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we should do that for our Quarantinis, though.
I think that's a little Xbox shtick. Microsoft shtick.
Yeah, it is. The shtick, yeah. We should do that for every Quarantini. Like, and the best, and our favorite whatever game, world premiere, Kevin's it. No, we should not. But, yeah, I just thought, like, the pacing was really good. And the game lineup, it was a pretty good, like, there was something for everyone, I feel like, this year. Like, in particular, like, a lot of old IPs came back. Sega brought back, like, Virtua Fighter. Capcom brought back Okami and Onimusha. Oh, wow.
Onimusha.
The Exciter's hitting it. Thank you. Yeah. What else? There's just a lot of, like, Witcher 4. I mean, Mafio's already announced, but, like, all these kind of older games that were, like, back in new ways was kind of fun. There's some old franchises back in unexpected ways. Shadow Labyrinth from Pac-Man, like the Pac-Man, it's kind of like the secret level episode, but like as a whole game, that was kind of interesting just to see the reinterpretation. So Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I just thought it was a really good show this year. Nintendo was MIA. I mean, Doug Bowser was there in the front row, and they ran a commercial. Two of them, sorry, they ran two commercials, and one of them literally ended with them saying like, can't remember the exact wording. It was something like "Thanks for joining us," and it was "Thank you for joining us now and into the future," which is like the closest to like, "Hey, we're doing a thing called a new Switch eventually, but for now, just you're cool, stick around." But yeah, it's very light in terms of Nintendo. But there's a point. I think I saw the video on YouTube. It might have been the Kit and Krista channel, like the former Nintendo employees. But there's a very interesting point raised by, yeah, it must have been Kit and Krista because it was Kit talking. This may have like secretly actually been a really good show for Nintendo, even though Nintendo wasn't there directly in any real way. So many of the games were third-party games from companies that sort of took a bet on and succeeded with the Switch. And so many of these games will be coming out at a time where they can do that same bet and presumably, hopefully, same success if they were to port them to the Switch 2 or whatever it's called at that point. I mean, excluding like Naughty Dog's Air Galactic, there was not a lot of console exclusive stuff. There was, the new Witcher we mentioned. Witcher is already on Switch. There was the new Elden Ring. We already have From Software games on Switch. Granted, not Elden Ring, but we got Dark Souls. Capcom's always a big supporter of Switch, and they brought back those Okami and Onimusha, as we were saying. Yakuza's now on Switch, so RRG's familiar with like Nintendo platforms, even though they didn't want to make games from originally. And now they're doing both Virtua Fighter and this new project that I forgot, some codename game that's going to be sort of like Yakuza. Thank you. Yeah. Sort of like Yakuza, but not. It Takes Two, the guy behind It Takes Two, Joseph Ferris, he has a new game, Split Decision. Split Fiction. Sorry. Yeah. Caught myself. Split Fiction, which looks really cool, by the way. Like, I really like, it seems like they just got like carte blanche because they won Game of the Year and they got endless money from EA now. But that looked really cool. And I could see that eventually coming to Switch 2. Stage Fright from the Overcooked devs. Overcooked was huge on Switch. That one looks really charming. Like there's just a lot of stuff that could very easily end up on a Switch successor, and it feels like Nintendo kind of came out and they barely said any platforms during the whole show. Like there were a couple PlayStation and Xbox logos thrown around, but like for the most part, they're just like, here are games that will be happening wherever you play games, and I think Switch 2 is gonna ultimately be one of the destinations for a lot of this. It kind of feels a lot like when Nintendo's been doing their non-video game activities these past couple episodes that we talked about, like the Switch Online focus and the Alarmo like shipping infrastructure set up for the Nintendo store and all that. Even stuff like how they're doubling down on theme parks and Donkey Kong and stuff to kind of prime a pump for 2025. Like I was saying throughout all this that it feels like Nintendo sort of saying the table sayings or the play sayings for what will become Switch 2 or like getting stuff in order for Switch 2 to succeed. And it kind of feels like, well, not intentionally done by Nintendo. It feels like the Game Awards is kind of doing like the third party side of that, where it's just like, look at all these cool games. Very likely a lot of them are going to be on Switch 2. So like it could be quite the like banquet of options for Nintendo fans in the end. Like it was in past years when I've been at the Game Awards, I'm like, oh, I'm never going to see that game on Nintendo system. It's fine. But this year, a lot of them, I was kind of like, yeah, actually that looks cool. And it could end up a little downgrade, a little performance differences, but it could end up on a Switch 2. So I think Kit made a really good point that like this might have secretly been a super great show for just a peek at what Nintendo will have on Switch 2 that's beyond just Nintendo's own games. So that was kind of a cool angle of the whole Game Awards too this year. But yeah, so Andrew, are you excited for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds? All 7 seconds you saw.
I mean, I wouldn't use the word excited, just
there's literally nothing to get excited.
Yeah. It's
well,
literally just
because
it's literally just on my radar.
The reason I was kind of asking is because they took out the All Stars part, so it seems like maybe.
It hasn't been in Sonic Racing themes for the last game, so
wasn't it Sonic and Racing All Stars Transformed?
That was just Sonic Team Racing was the game before this.
Oh, that's right, and they did the whole like I forgot about that.
Yeah, so the punch of like losing All Stars is already kind of gone. If anything, it's like, oh, is it coming back? Oh no, well, all right, maybe this time they won't like push this new mechanic that like I'll give them points for creativity. They usually do try to take more risks, but like man, like they just gotta let some stuff, simmer a little more. Like they'll take a risk. There's some good ideas there, but then they just change to something else instead of like, polishing it up to make it something even better. And
I
Transform could
did
have had that, even though it
see.
was already really good. But Transformed, I mean, All Stars Racing had great tracks, but I don't know. The team mechanic just wasn't as fun as I think they hoped. And this one, you know, we have nothing to go on, so it's just on my
There's one
radar.
little thing. One little thing. Someone found in the metadata for Crossworld's website that it says you will be racing on land, air, and sea. So they're bringing back that. I guess was that in the team one? I don't think so, right?
No, it was just cars.
Okay, so there. It sounds like it's like you're on land, air, sea, and between worlds. So it sounds like there's like a fourth
Hmm.
type of race now.
Till
or
I see an
something,
official
so.
trailer, I am putting that under completely false. But yeah,
Even though it's from the official website. All right, fair.
hearsay.
Okay, but yeah, it's yeah, that was definitely the shortest trailer. Kevin, from what you saw after the fact, anything you're excited for?
I mean, Intergalactic looks interesting. I'm not gonna say that it looks good because I literally have nothing to base it off except just a, a CG trailer that might not be indicative of the final product. This is what
With a
I hate.
boatload of product placement.
This is the product placement. Honestly, that stuff is people that get mad at that stuff. I'm sorry. You're.
Oh, I'm fine with it personally. I
I'm
just
fine
it
with
was
it. The
very
people are like,
glaringly there. Yeah,
like who cares?
it's world building. Yeah,
I can't stand people when they see like CGI trailers and go, oh my god, that looks amazing. Like you're like being blinded by this piece that, like I said, might not be indicative of the final product. Like the
yeah.
amount of people that were so excited for what's that Xbox game that came out, the vampires one,
Redfall.
Redfall. When the trailer for Redfall came out, I saw oh my god, Redfall looks so amazing. Oh, it looks so it looked cool for sure. Like it was a CG trailer, but the game turned out to be like really
Not great.
underwhelming.
Yeah, yeah.
um so like yeah, I just can't stand when people are like I said, that Intergalactic trailer looks cool, but that's pretty much all I can give it. Um
Yeah. It's got vibes, but do those vibes translate into anything?
yeah,
We'll
like
see.
let me
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
I damn it, I closed the tab. Like hold on, let me see. Because aside from that, I don't really remember a lot. Like Witcher 4, cool. Like I'm probably gonna be on like my fifth or fourth time trying to start Witcher 3 again. Just
Mhm.
never ends up happening. Slay the Spire 2 would be cool if I actually played the first one. Oh, actually, you know what? That football game.
Oh,
By
from
the
the
by the Sifu
seafood
guys. Yeah.
developers. Yeah,
Yeah, that looked cool.
yeah. That it had an interesting. I don't know. The second I saw it, for some reason, it just like in my head registered as Rocket League crossed with Mario Strikers. That's not necessarily how the game plays at all. That's just something about the visuals
Mm-hmm.
gave me that vibe. But yeah, that looked pretty fun. I completely forgot about that one. Yeah, that's another one that could very well end up on Switch too. Sifu, I think, made it to Switch. So
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Elden Ring Night Rain. That looks really cool.
yeah, is that one more like? I mean, granted, there's a lot of gameplay in that, which was nice. Um, is that one? Is that more? Are they going for like a multiplayer co-op?
Yeah,
Angle on
I
that?
think that's already
feel
been
like-
announced.
yeah,
It's
right.
essentially
Yeah,
it's
okay.
essentially From Software going, hey, stop playing those mods, give us the money.
Yeah, yeah. It's that one did actually look pretty fun. It kind of it's like if you did a Souls mixed with like a Monster Hunter almost.
Mhm.
But actually, no, it was faster. I take that back. It was more of an action game. Yeah,
Don't know if Switch 2 will get that, but
maybe. I mean, it'll have to be downgraded, but they managed to do it with Dark Souls 1. So you never know.
actually, was Elden Ring? If Elden Ring was on PS4, then it might actually have a shot.
It wasn't Elden Ring on PS4?
Oh, it was. Yeah. Oh, okay, it might have a shot.
Yeah. I mean, because we're ultimately, when Switch 2 arrives, it's going to be the same gap that Switch had with PS4 and Xbox One, just with now PS5 and whatever Xbox calls the platform, since apparently it's not a platform. It's a thing, not a physical. It's a concept, not a physical thing anymore. Xbox. So yeah, I could see a lot of games if that were able to make that gap before can do it again, just one step further down the fidelity road than they were in the past.
Mm-hmm.
There was one we haven't mentioned that's kind of interesting, especially the publisher being Epic Games. The new game from the Ico and Shadow of the Colossus guy, whose name is escaping me.
Ueda.
Yes, and I believe the game doesn't technically have a title, or it's called like Project Robot or something.
Yeah.
Super vague, but yeah, that was interesting to see him not with Sony. Like, I wonder. I don't know the backstory there.
He
but I didn't know
left. He left before The Last Guardian was released.
Oh, real? I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. Well, then. But yeah. So I mean, that if it's Epic making it, I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but again, could end up on Switch too. Who knows? I've always been curious about those games, but I've never really had a way to play them. So I would be on board with it.
I mean, you have a way to. To open your
it's
third
physically
eye.
impossible, Kevin. I cannot. Nope. It's
you absolutely
physically
can.
impossible.
You know how, but you just refuse to.
If I go down the PlayStation aisle at Best Buy, or if I go to Steam on my browser, I immediately combust into flames. It's just not physically possible for me.
Well,
I melt. I know I'm going in the opposite direction. If I melt like the witch in the Wizard of Oz. Yeah. So.
Well, anyways.
But anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a pretty good show, I think, overall.
Was
one thing we
this
do have to
revealed in the
cover-
show? I heard wind of a game called Ultimate Raccoon Sheep in those last couple
that
days.
would maybe that I
No idea what
think
you're talking
might
about.
have been that name's vaguely familiar. It may have been the pre-show.
It's
may
a
have been the
sequel
pre-show.
to Ultimate Chicken Horse, that one
Yeah,
game that
I
we would
think
play
it-
sometimes
Oh.
in a party setting.
Might have
It's
been
pretty
the
much-
pre-show.
It's pretty much Ultimate Chicken Horse, except now everyone's on a bike. So I guess like the courses, are much longer and they go by faster. And you also can't stay still, like, so you're always moving. I think that was kind of the thing, is to kind of force people to not like wait around till everyone dies or something. But it's on the radar. I'm sure it'll eventually be on a Nintendo platform. It's definitely
It
a
is
fun
funny that,
couch co-op game.
I feel like it was at the there were so many games. Like this is the problem with the Game Awards every year, regardless of how well paced or not it is. You are inundated with there are so many games that, well, yes, that means everyone's gonna find one or two that they're jazzed about, or something by association, like Okami coming back. That's awesome, because for me, that means the guy who's now back with Capcom, Hideki Kamiya, he can do Beautiful Joe again, and I love Beautiful Joe. So, like, there's always something you can find in these award shows, but there's also just the sheer number of games that, I don't even remember. You mentioning it, I think it was in the pre-show. Like, I vaguely remember seeing something like that, but am I thinking of that, or am I thinking of, like, I think they had, like, Dave the Diver DLC, and I know they're completely different, but which is the one that I'm trying to think that I see there? Like, even though they're not related, like, it's just you're so overwhelmed with the number of games. So it might have been there. There was that weird game.
I'm not seeing it here.
So maybe it wasn't there. There was also that weird, and this is probably an AI NFT scam of some sort. They had a commercial for a AAA cat MMO called Catly, where you can customize and accessorize and share your cats with other people and their cats. And the whole trailer was the CG thing, and it looked kind of maybe AI, and I was just left with so many I was so confused by it, but they're literally billing it as a AAA cat MMO, and yet it's coming to PC, Nintendo Switch, and exact word on the trailer, the Apple iWatch. So none of this sounds real, but it was a real ad that ran during the awards, and I'm very curious what this is. It's probably not legit. They probably threw a bunch of money at production, and production's like, oh yeah, it's a commercial. We don't vet those. But
I'll give you a hint as
something.
I'll give you a hint. The developer's name is Real Authentic. So.
Oh, well, that's pretty, yeah. If you can't even say authentic right, you're definitely authentic. Yep. Yeah. But it was and it was right at the top of the show too. It was like Witcher and one other game, I forget which, and then it was that. And I was like, wow, top 3. But yeah, that was something. One thing about the Game Awards we still have to do though. So we talked about the reveals, talked about what they can mean. There's the awards themselves. Obviously not a big year for Nintendo. For a podcast called Random Nintendo, just gotta put that at the front. They didn't win a single thing. their spiritual successor, Astrobot, won a ton,
No,
and Nintendo even got
I
it.
wouldn't call it a spiritual successor.
Well,
Did something.
they did on stage. Like literally, they thanked Nintendo for being what laid the foundation for Astrobot, which was actually kind of a touching moment where like, the guy went off script. He's like, I wasn't supposed to bring this up, but, and then he was just like, yeah, there's a company up in Kyoto, and when I grew up, it was Mario, and like they really, that they made what platformers are, and and this is in tribute to them, and da 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 da. So, but while Nintendo didn't win a ton directly, we do have to go through who did win because we have to see who won our bets, right? Kevin, do you have those handy?
I do have these handy.
All
now,
right.
These aren't all the awards. We just did the ones that we thought were, I guess, pertain to us a little bit more. We weren't going to do best sports game. We were going to do best sim. So
we didn't do best content creator, even though the winner is clearly the three of us.
Correct. So right from the top, most anticipated. How should I break this down exactly?
Well, we all got it right.
We all got it right
that
as GTA 6, as of who will win. Best adaptation. The person who got this right was actually just Jason.
Yes, sir.
Actually, Jason,
and I know a lot of people thought Arcane. What was that?
I got to give you 3 points for that. Actually.
Oh, thank you. And I know that like people thought Arcane was robbed, and I've never seen Arcane, but I do know it has a good soundtrack. I thought the 21 Pilots performance with Oral and the Serpent and what's the other guy's name? David with a 4 in it, David, whatever his name is. I thought that was a really cool performance. I know the music's really good. I know the show's supposed to be really good, but as someone who watched Fallout, and not Arcane, I had to skew towards Fallout. So go me and my Arcane upsetters, I guess.
Yep. Best multiplayer, we all got it right with Helldivers 2. Best family, we all got it right with Astrobot. Best fighting, Jason and myself, we got that one right. Why Angel went with Grand Blue Fantasy, I will never know. Yes, Tekken.
You could argue it was a fantasy.
Yep. Then moving over to best RPG. Crap, what actually won it? Metaphor actually won it.
Yeah.
The irony is, Angel got it right, but he only got 1 point for it, while we wanted it to win, and we got 2 points for it. So that's pretty funny. Best action adventure, we all got it wrong. As of who would win, we all wanted Prince of Persia to win. Astrobot got it, so that gave Angel the 2 points there.
Speaking real quick of Prince of Persia, Best Buy has it dirt cheap. I don't know if it's still cheap. I got it for like $12, physical copies. So if you're like me and have heard very good things and now you had a chance to pick it up, I assume you're ewing because I said if you're like me and you're like, no, I'd never be like him. But anyway, if you do want Prince of Persia physical cheap, Best Buy might still have the deal going. I'm not sure. But it's a steal. I imagine it's a steal at that price. Like that's the price of like a Subway combo. Like it's cheap. So carry on.
Yep. Wait, what won best action adventure? Did I mess this up?
You would think I'd remember because I was there, but I was so inundated with everything.
Hold on. Best action adventure.
Yeah, I'm checking too.
That seems completely
dead air. Angel, fill the air.
Isn't that the award you just said right now?
Astrobot won best action adventure.
Oh yeah, that's the one you just said. Because then I shout out Prince of Persia, which was also nominated.
Oh yeah, Angel was the only one that got any points for that one. Best action game, we all believed that it was going to be Black Myth. Yep, correct on there. We all got 1 point for that.
By the way, cool thing about being physically there, real quick, because this brought up people sitting next to me were somehow involved with Wukong. I don't know exactly how, but they got very excited every time something came up, and they'd be filming it on their phones. And the person in front of me was the guy who edited the Intergalactic trailer, and when it aired, he kind of pointed to himself, was like, "I did that," and everyone, because he was very proud, and everyone was like, "Hey, that's really cool." So one of the kind of fun things when you're at the Game Awards physically is like getting to see the reaction. And this happened when I went with you, Angel, last year when God of War was up for stuff. Like getting to see the people who work on it, like have that moment is fun to witness secondhand. So Wukong reminded me, so I thought I'd throw that in. Carry on.
Best mobile game, Balatro Ticket. Me and Angel scored 3 points for that one, while Jason only scored 1 because he thought he wanted Pocket to win.
That's the only one I play. New booster packs out tonight, or
I mean, you don't need to have played it to know the correct answer.
I know. I dealt the wrong card.
I don't play any of those.
Get it? Card? Okay.
Just
anyway.
Pocket. Oh, I could go on another 10-minute round.
New booster pack. Just like an award show with a shadow drop. By the time you hear this, the new booster packs in Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket will be out. The new expansion.
Fantastic. While I still hope and pray to the gods that I get an Arcanine, a single goddamn Arcanine. Congrats! All right, best score in music. I'm done. I'm not gonna listen to any Pocket talk. Best score in music. Looks like Final Fantasy took this. Jason and Angel scored a point there. I got Diddly Squat because I wanted Metaphor. I thought Metaphor was going to take it. Best art direction. What the hell won here? Oh, this looks like Metaphor took it. So Jason scored a point there. I scored 2 because that's what I wanted it to win. Best narrative. We all got a resounding 0. Jason wanted Elite Beat Agents to win.
I did.
I thought The Road to El Dorado, that animated movie from a few years ago, was going to take it. Angel, Astrobot. Oh, God. Best game direction went to Astrobot. Jason scored the most points here. He got 3. Me and Angel both took 2 because we thought other games were going to take it. And then game of the year, big fat zeros for me and Jason. Angel took the big win there with 3 points, putting the grand... In third place, Jason with a score of 16. And in first place, Angel with a score of 19.
Wow.
And
where are you, Kevin?
I got an 18, so I was a point right behind Angel.
Wow. Last place last year, first place this year.
Yeah.
I think I got first last year and now last this year, so we flipped.
Yep, and
you didn't tie with Kevin last year? I could have sworn you both tied one year.
I think there was a first year that we tied. I don't remember which year.
I was so ready to be like, see, guys,
that was also the year I did, like, not
just
bad, like, not just third, it was, like, really, really low.
Yeah, you had, like, 5 last year. No, but I was so ready to be like, see, guys, I don't play games, but I sure know them, but apparently I don't even know them, because I got last. So, yeah.
Always the bridesmaid.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But it's always fun to do the predictions. Yeah, so, GG, everyone, GG. That was fun. I will say, actually, one other little thing about the Game Awards I thought was kind of amusing. So they now do a thing, like the Game Awards happen, and then you go outside after, and there's a bunch of advertising happening at you. Like they're kind of making it like a one-night mini E3. So last year when Angel and I were there, Sega did that whole blowout during the award show where they're like, Crazy Taxi and like 7 other games and Golden Axe and whatever else, and they're all coming back. And then we left, and they were like, here's some like shirts and stickers and things. And then there was this hologram thing across the street that Meta set up, and there was trucks circling with like some game on them. I don't remember what. This year, no swag being handed out, but instead of that, there was a drone show for Den of Wolves that was happening over Crypto.com Arena. And they didn't fly the drones high enough to be able to fully see them over the arena. So that was a bit of an interesting flub. They probably spent a ton of money. They even handed out little flyers, like itty bitty little business cards with a map saying stand here to watch the drone show, and then the drones weren't high enough to see the full show. So I felt very bad for their marketing team when that happened. You could still see a lot of it. You could like walk down the street and see it more properly, but it's just like swing and a miss in a way. Yeah, there is definitely an energy coming out of the Game Awards that's fun to be around. I run into Phil Spencer every year. Not even by choice. He's just always standing in front of me at the end of these things. So saw him, Ben Starr, the voice actor from Final Fantasy, bumped into him. Oh, I congratulated the Final Fantasy music guy, the conductor, the guy who won the score award. Bumped into him. So that's always kind of fun to like just be moseying around. It's like a little mini E3 out there. But yeah, overall, it was a good year for the show. They've had a good run. They've had their ups and downs, but this was a good year.
Nice.
So, unless you guys have anything else about the Game Awards, I did want to pivot to one other pre-show topic before we get to the meat of the episode, which are of course our Quarantinis. The Switch 2. As if I haven't already mentioned it a handful of times. Nintendo's being very quiet about the Switch 2, but you know who's not being quiet about the Switch 2? The entire rest of the internet. So the hardware has leaked. Just the hardware, not the functions of the hardware, just the hardware. And it's really interesting because obviously Nintendo's been hedging their bets. These things are apparently already in production. There's apparently already boxes with final packaging ready to go in warehouses because, you know, they have to produce these things 6 to 9 months in advance minimum. But it was interesting that occasionally there'd be some leaks out of China. You know, there'd be like a CAD file of like what a Switch 2 would look like, and like, oh, the Joy-Cons are magnetic now apparently instead of sliding, and little things like that. And then some third-party cases started kind of leaking out China, like here's a blue silicone one, maybe that's a Switch 2 in it, who knows? And then D-Brand, the maker of skins and cases and stuff that often likes to be the bad boy of accessory makers and purposely ruffle feathers. Case in point, they got in a whole spat with Sony over making faceplates for the PS5. They got in a spat with Nintendo over making a Zelda-themed skin for the Switch that Nintendo said was too close to copyright infringement, so they remade the skin and had FU Nintendo lawyers written, I think, in Hylian on the side of it. These guys just straight up were like, so this is the Switch 2. This is our case for it. We have the exact specs. We'll give you all the measurements, and we're going to make it a publicity stunt for ourselves. So they claim they have seen a Switch 2, not functional, but like a unit. And they just straight up went to The Verge and were like, here you go. And just like put out renders and everything. And from there, it just started snowballing. And now there's all these other accessory makers showing off Switch 2. And it's just an interesting, I don't recall a time a Nintendo system or any console from any maker has leaked in quite the way that Switch 2 has. But simultaneously, it also is not telling us anything, which is kind of interesting. Like, I feel like if this was any other Nintendo console in the history of Nintendo consoles, a leak of the hardware and what it looks like would be a big deal because it would tip their hand into what the function of the system is. You know, when you got the Wii for the first time, if that leaked, the Wii remote would be huge. 3DS for the first time, if that hardware leaked before you knew it could do 3D, the slider's right there. It says 3D. Like, there'd be all these ways. The Wii U, you'd see the gamepad for the first time. But this time it almost kind of feels like when a phone leaks, like when an iPhone gets hinted at before Apple fully announces it. Like when you see like the accessory case, like the cases and the accessory makers putting out CAD files and all that of like, well, the new iPhone will have an extra button. And you're like, okay, what's that do? Who knows? But it seems like Nintendo has been saying they want to change how they do their console generations. And there's a lot of speculation. Maybe they're going to make it a little more like smartphones where it's kind of more regular, but steady updates and there's more backwards compatibility and stuff. It kind of feels like the leak pattern has now lined up with that of smartphones as well, which is kind of funny because we have, again, we know it has maybe magnetic Joy-Cons. We know it maybe has slightly bigger bumpers on the inside of the Joy-Con, slightly bigger shoulder buttons, maybe an extra button in the back that doubles as a release for the magnet, maybe an extra USB-C on the top of the system. Couldn't tell you a single thing about what the hardware could do, functionality-wise. So, like, I imagine Nintendo, as frustrating as it is for a leak to occur, is probably like, well, this is the best way a leak can occur because you're basically going, yup, that's a Switch body on a Switch console, but you have no idea what differentiates it except magnets, which aren't really that big of a deal. So, if there's if there's ever a time for a Nintendo console to leak, I imagine Nintendo's kind of glad this is the one. But there is one interesting. Have you guys seen any of these leaks? First of all, am I just like telling you things you can't even visualize? Have you seen anything?
Pretty much, I have not seen anything because, as I've pointed out before, like especially when it comes to like Nintendo hardware, like I'm just like I'll just see it when I see it. Like,
yeah, spoiler alert.
It's kind of the
Angel. It looks like a Switch.
What?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. This one in particular is such a like, oh, it's a Switch.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, it's in that whole mentality of like they announce a Mario 2 movie, like you know, like I'm already sold. Like you don't,
right?
I don't need to know anything else. It's just extra sugar, or it's I forgot what that word is. Non-cloy, opposite of cloy. But oh no, it is cloy. Cloy is the word I'm looking for. But But yeah, I mean that's so funny though. That's the thing that's just happening now. But yeah, like you said,
Yeah,
it's
like right before
for
Christmas
for
too,
the
which is funny.
for probably what we all expected would be like maybe it could still surprise us with some of like if anything the OS is what I'm like most curious about. But
So that
hard
is
but
what I
hardware
want to speculate
but,
on for a sec. But go ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
but hardware wise, like I already got my official. It's gonna run Switch games. We still don't know exactly what that means as far as like full backwards compatibility with
I think
eShop
it's gonna be
stuff. I
full.
hope.
I think it's
I
gonna
hope
be
it's
full.
just
They're
like my
migrating
entire
my
library just transfers
yeah.
over.
I think that's what Nintendo means when they're saying they're gonna do like more of a phone style, like longer generation, better integration, better transition. They need to keep that bridge alive. I mean,
I would also hope that
I
they
would
make it
bet
easier to
you.
own multiple consoles in the sense that, like right now, I basically, I would say semi-actively use two Switches. I have one Switch at home and one Switch that I keep at work. And when I use the one at work, it constantly has to be pinging to the internet because it has to check that I can play the software there because it's the same Nintendo account. Which, I understand. It's still the Switch. It's using the same Nintendo account. But I'm kind of hoping that because the other one's a different console, the Switch 2 can be its own primary console. And then the Switch 1 could be its own primary console, so it doesn't have to constantly be pinging for both.
I
But I
have
have
to
a feeling that's not going to be
imagine.
the case just because it's still the same software downloaded by the same account. But yeah,
So
so we'll
I
see.
forget who, but they made a purchase a few years ago and have been beefing up their like server side and cloud infrastructure and stuff. I wouldn't be, and they have said time and time again, they don't just want to sell a console per household, they want to sell a console per person in a household. Like that's the current goal for the regular Switch. So I imagine they're going to try and remove friction that makes it harder to buy multiple. I mean, one thing that came out with the hardware a while ago that was leaked, they're going back from having an OLED console to an LCD screen on the console. So clearly they're already thinking about an upgrade path for Switch 2 owners to get back to OLED. Like they're not going to go back to LCD and be like, never again OLED. Like clearly, like 3
No,
years in,
I
they'll do
think
a
that's a
half
smart
step.
move because
So
like you have to
yeah,
consider the people that aren't gonna play it, handheld as much like me. That where if it's OLED, it's like, well, that's a cost that I don't care about. That's kind of
sure. Yeah. And it also
unfortunate. If
creates
they're
an
because
upgrade path
yeah,
to
yeah,
double dip.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, and because they're obviously scheming to do that already, and everything they've said about how they're trying to sell Switch 1, I imagine they're going to make it as seamless as possible to own multiple Switches. Nintendo is always a little behind with some of their functionality. Do we even need to talk about the lack of like a party system on the console? Maybe that will be in Switch 2, but they get there in due time. So I imagine as every other device has made it so easy to jump between devices, and as every other platform has made it so easy that you're an account on a platform and that platform can be played in multiple places, like what Xbox is trying to do now, I imagine Nintendo, while still keeping it locked to their ecosystem, will want to make it so you can jump between your Nintendo devices easily. They happily will take money if you buy 5 Switches, for example. So if they make it easy, that's good. But your point about the OS level stuff, that's the one interesting little wrinkle in the Switch leaks. There's a new button on the right Joy-Con, under the home button, labeled C. The letter C. Could mean chat system. Could mean, I don't know, companion, and it like lets you easily toggle which is your primary switch. To your point, who knows? But my theory, and I've seen other people say this too, so I'm not gonna pretend I'm like reinventing the wheel here. But my theory is it's to cast. It's a cast button, C for cast. And my theory is the big selling point of the Switch 2, to differentiate from the Switch, besides ultimately more pretty games and exclusive games down the line, because I bet you Metroid Prime and Pokemon Legends EA will be cross-platform. I think the Switch 2's differential is going to be that it can do wireless transmissions to the dock, and they're going to bring back the Wii U. I would not be surprised if the hook for Switch 2 is everything you love about Switch, wirelessly and with the option to do dual screen gaming again. So you can have one thing on your Switch and cast something else to the TV. You can have your Nintendo Land thing going on the TV and your Mario Run individual experience on your Switch. And they can then bring over Twilight Princess from Wii U. They can bring over Wind Waker from Wii U. They can bring over Nintendo Land, and they can kind of reintroduce that in a form factor and a business model that has proven to be successful with Switch. Like the Switch brand is strong enough that they want to give Wii U a second chance. A little button that wirelessly casts it. There you go. That's my theory of the unique hook of Switch 2. The reason there's a C button. Nintendo never gives up on an idea. I know I used to say that all the time on Random Nintendo, like the old show. I think it's been proven it's viable to do wireless casting like this with low latency. I mean, look at PlayStation Portal's success. I think that's going to be the hook of Switch 2, is everything Switch can do without a cord and more. So, and they're probably just going to call it Switch 2 at this point, honestly, because they need it's like they're going to call it like the Switch Cast, because that sounds like an accessory, or a Dreamcast. So that's where I think it's going. We'll see. Obviously, none of the leaks are saying that. They're just showing there's a button called C, but there's only so many things a C button can mean. It could just be party chat. I don't know. Or maybe it's like catapult me to the store or something. It's just like a store button. I don't know. But casting feels in Nintendo's wheelhouse and would let them very easily then do 4K or HD ports of a bunch of DS and 3DS games that they couldn't do before. It's a great way for them to go back to the well and keep re-releasing old games in new ways. Like now they have a way to do dual screens. Obviously, you have to factor in the fact that part of Switch's selling point is it also works as an exclusive handheld. So it's not like they can just forever make every game a dual screen experience, but it could be a mode, it could be an option, it can be a thing in the way that some Mario Party mini games only work with Joy-Con separate, not in handheld mode. Switch Sports only works with Joy-Con separate, non-handheld mode. So they can make it work. But I think that's going to be kind of the new angle on top of just it's a more powerful Switch. So that's I am casting my prediction, and that's what it is. And we'll probably find out in January or February when they reveal it for real. And I'll probably be wrong, but I like to think I'm right. So that's my big prediction, my Nostradamus moment for today's show. Does that sound totally crazy, or does it actually seem somewhat viable to you guys?
Cast, for some reason, sounds too ambitious of a thing to try to go with.
Even though they did it already on Wii U?
Like, I mean, wirelessly, but...
Even though they did already on Wii U? It's literally the Wii U.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't... That doesn't seem right to me, but it could be wrong. I mean, I hope that's
fair.
right.
I could be wrong.
I would love to see Nintendo Land on Switch 2 or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we will know in due time. I would be shocked at the rate things are leaking if Nintendo does not have this thing revealed by the end of January. Obviously, they're going to write out Christmas. Obviously, the leaks aren't good. Like I was saying, it's just the hardware. It's no functionality yet. But the rate things are leaking, if I was Nintendo, I would at some point be like, gotta get a little ahead of this and be able to convey the message, especially if that C button isn't all that special. And it is just a more powerful Switch 2. They gotta get the marketing out ahead of that. So people don't just go, it's a Switch with magnets. Like they need to position it and get the right framing and mindset going before the leaks kind of undercut whatever they're going to try and use as a selling point, if it's not as fancy as casting. So I would guess mid-January, we're probably going to know what this thing actually is. So enjoy these last few weeks of Switch 2 mystery that we've been living in since when it was the Switch Pro, and since before that when it was like another Switch or what. I feel like we've been in this perpetual cycle of a Switch is coming for like 6 years, and I think it's finally coming to an end. So there's that. Yeah, that was my thoughts on that. I just thought I'd throw it out there. Do you guys want to get on to the Quarantini? Should we go into the main theater of the award show now from our pre-show and start the real show?
Or why not?
You dare.
All right. So, for those who don't know, for those who are new to us, which apparently a third of our Spotify listeners, Current Spotify Wrapped, are new to us this year. So welcome to you guys. And if you don't know what a Quarantini is, it's just like the Oscars. It's just like the Grammys. It's a name that references a thing a long time ago that we just stuck with. So Quarantini stemmed from when we were in quarantine in 2020. We did an award show of all the content we were consuming that year and what our favorites were across different categories. Obviously, we're back out in the world, but the core Quarantini concept is still there. We're consuming stuff. We like to talk about stuff here on the show, and this is our chance to celebrate the things that we enjoyed most in the year 2024, either that we've previously talked about, that we haven't talked about, that's new to this year, that's new to us this year, but it's actually older. Whatever it is, it's all fair game if we enjoyed it. So we have a number of categories. We have one set of presenters, which is us. No Harrison Ford's coming out like at the Game Awards. Let's just jump in. What category should we start with, guys? Should we start with game? Keep it video gamey for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we already have the list. Let's just go down it.
Yeah, just go down it. Okay, let's do it. So, in the category of best game, and also of note to those new to the Quarantines, we each pick a favorite. There are 3 winners of every category because we just like to share, spread the love. So, in best game, I'm gonna pick Kevin. Why don't you go first with your best game, your favorite game of 2024?
My favorite game of 2024. I didn't really speak about this, but surprise, surprise, it's a live service game. Valve's unreleased Deadlock.
I didn't
Oh,
know that was
choice.
Valve until very recently. I was like, what? They made a game?
Yeah, they're keeping it kind of on the down low a little.
Yeah,
Not
and,
well. It leaked like within a week. Everyone knew about it, but they were trying.
Yeah, this is the very first MOBA that I've ever enjoyed, mainly because it's less of a top-down click to where you want to go MOBA like League and Dota 2, and it's more of a third-person shooter. And
Like Battleborn?
Battleborn wishes. Yeah, it's essentially Battleborn, but good. I have a lot of fun with this game.
Battleborn. Haven't heard that name in years.
I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I hate it. I love it. It's bringing back old Overwatch vibes. Yeah, the player count is starting to dwindle a little bit because of Marvel Rivals. So Valve's got to do something to keep interest in there. But I still have no problems finding matches and playing it with your brother Elvis, playing it with a bunch of other friends. Like, yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying my time with another live service game.
Have you tried Marvel Rivals? Not to take away from Deadlock. I'm just curious.
Yes, I have.
Thoughts? Good or bad? In a nutshell.
I really, really, really do not like it.
Wow. Okay, that was passionate.
I will get into it in a future episode once I have a couple more hours in. Right now, I think I have like one from the beta and one from this full release. But I think the game is bad, and I'm tired of pretending that I don't.
Fair. But okay, so Deadlock is your favorite game of 2024. Do you think it has potential to, like, once it's publicly released properly and not in this kind of word of mouth beta where basically anyone that wants it can figure it out, but you just need to know you want in. Do you think it has the potential to be like the next big multiplayer game or
Tough to say. I don't think it has right now the chops to be able to do it. I guess it all depends on what that like 1.0 release looks like.
Sure.
But they keep flip-flopping between nerfs and buffs to characters, and just the patches have been like all over the place.
Right. But like personality wise, does the game sort of stand out? Like, is it? Because I feel like a lot of these multiplayer games kind of fall into the same tropes. I mean, Concord suffered from that to an extreme degree. X Defenders or whatever it's called from Ubisoft started suffering from that, and now they're winding Defiant. Thank you, and now they're winding that one down. So yeah, it's tough out there.
Yeah, it does have a unique art style, and just has a unique like setting. It's sort of like this paranormal New York's in the 60s. Some of the characters do not match the aesthetic of the world, but yeah, it's interesting. It's a completely different vibe from your other hero shooters.
That's good. I feel like you need to stand out in some way, so that's good. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, congratulations to Deadlock for winning Kevin's Quarantini. Angel, what about you?
Man, at first I was going to say this was going to be tough because I didn't play too many games this year, and of the apparently 8 that I started, I only beat 4 of them, and none of them really left like I want to give this an award kind of feeling. Like the closest one would be Tales of Xillia. Like I enjoyed that one, but yeah, I don't know. Like I wouldn't even give it to Bowser's Fury or Super Mario Wonder, which I did beat this year. but I'm actually going to give it to one I haven't beaten yet, and it's kind of a cop out. But technically, I haven't played this one. But I'm going to give it to Tales of Symphonia Remastered because I have not played the remastered version. Man, I have been having a ton of fun with this game. I mean, obviously, a big factor of a lot of Tales games is who you play with. And it's just been really great playing it with my brother. So, at the end of the day, how much fun you have with the game. It's just pure fun. The combat, yeah, it definitely has not aged well compared to newer Tales games. Like, it definitely feels like the oldest one. The camera just hates player 2. Like, it doesn't care what player 2 is doing. It's just going to follow player 1, and they could be off screen. Like, half the time, like, I'm running from one end of the screen to the other, and the camera just flips 180 degrees, basically messing up my brother's combos, because now all of a sudden his side B to the right is now his side B to the left. But despite that, the story is just really great. So dark. Like, we only play like maybe 2 or 3 times a week in like 1 hour sessions. And every time we play, like, there's just like a new revelation. Like, it's engaging from like the very beginning, where I feel like Zilia kind of took a while for me to get into or care about some of those characters. I think a lot of it's to do with the voice acting. Admittedly, it is kind of hard not to hear Robin talking whenever Lloyd talks.
Wait, what?
If you watch Teen Titans, it's the same voice actor.
No, I know that.
And,
Did they replace his voice?
wasn't it always Robin?
Wait, you're saying that you're not hearing Robin, or did I?
Oh, no. That admittedly, that it's hard not to hear Robin.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Like, I'll hear Robin, but it's the performance is still just great. Lloyd's still considering through, because I did play it a while back on GameCube, but playing it on Switch has been great. They did address a lot of the issues that were plaguing the initial releases of the remastered versions when it came out on PS3 and PC. It's still not perfect. Like, there is like one scene that it's kind of funny that of all the cutscenes to get skipped on the remastered version, like, you basically have, it's towards the beginning of the game, this angel comes out and it's like, you're about to go on this great mission, and then it just cuts to like, and that is your great mission, and you're like, what's the mission? But if you played it before, you know what it is, and they kind of, they'll obviously elaborate many times after the fact. But yeah, it's fun. Definitely worth like the minor headaches and some data mechanics, but yeah, it's an easy reminder of why Symphonia is held to such high regard, which only makes me look forward to playing Vesperia after, which is our next game in our docket. We've got to be close to beating it at this point, which is also why I don't feel as bad giving it my game of the year despite not having beaten it yet. But I might before the end of this year. So yeah.
You said that you guys were skipping Cilia 2, right?
Yes.
Why again? Yeah. What was the reason again?
For one thing, we don't have it. I mean, yeah, I could go buy it, but we just kind of want to move out of the PS3.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we just gonna we already have Zestiria, Berseria, Vesperia, and Symphonia like on hand. We've had them in shrink wrap for God knows how long. So we're like, yeah, let's just play through the ones we have, and we'll get back to the PS3 once we finish redoing like our home setup, so that it's just like less clustered. Like, or maybe we'll find it on PC. Maybe it's on Steam.
Which one?
Or somewhere. Zilia 2. Like, maybe we'll revisit some of the also, yeah, like, we're just kind of skipping the sequels for now. We just want to play like the big, just the main stories. But yeah.
I think Zilia 2 is technically like it's not an actual continuation of
Zilia 1.
Of Zilia 1. It's like different completely characters or something like that.
There is some overlap. I mean, if you look at the cover, it's like, oh yeah, that's clearly the same character, just older or like a little different. But it's kind of like Symphonia 2. Like, that one is almost like its own story. There's just like some characters that overlap.
Gotcha.
Also, just typing Zilia 1 into Google gives me a bunch of medication for a Zilia 1 tablet.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it's for though. But
Wait, Angel,
yeah.
which is the Tales that you guys have like multiple unopened copies of? Or maybe they're now
Um,
open, but there's one you have like 3 different box arts, but you have like multiple of each or something. Am I misremembering?
I think it's just two, and I think it's Berseria
Okay. Yeah.
because yeah, like with the move and stuff like that, like we had just forgotten straight up
Right.
that we already owned Berseria. So when we saw it again
Right.
at Anime Expo, we bought it, and then when I came home and looked through my collection, I'm like, oh, we already had it. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, since everyone, was there anything else you want to say about Tales? I didn't mean to cut you short.
No, I mean if you have a Switch and stuff, like I still recommend it. The music is great. Yeah, I think the story is strong enough to kind of like get you through the combat. It's not horrible. It's definitely better as a single player experience, but it's also not so bad that I would say don't play it in multiplayer. Like, my brother and I just kind of we're used to that kind of thing. We'll just deal with it. And plus we're also good enough at the game that it doesn't become it's not a deal breaker. Like it's tolerable. But yeah. No, that's it. That's all I got.
Well, congratulations to Tails for winning Angel's Quarantini of favorite game of 2024. I guess I have to. I mean, everyone's picking games they played with Elvis, right? Like that seems to be what's happening this year. So I guess idea pick Pikmin Bloom because I got him hooked on Pikmin Bloom in the last like
But
eight
was
to
that a
10
new
weeks.
game
So
of 2024 though?
no, and it's not what I'm actually picking. It's just I just had to say it because you guys both were like, yeah, I play it with Elvis. I'm like, oh, is that the qualifying? Is that the barometer of if it wins? But for me,
That's going to be its own category. Best game I
best
played with
Elvis
Elvis.
experience of 2024.
Well, I mean, Mario Party Jamboree would definitely get a nomination.
Jamboree was
there.
fun. We haven't even given impressions on Jamboree, but it's one of the good ones, I think, right? And on the scale of bad to good Mario Party, it's on the good side.
Yep,
for the
still
most
full
part.
of bullshit as always. But that's Mario
It
Party,
wouldn't be
baby.
Mario Party if it wasn't. Exactly. But yeah, in terms of my favorite game of 2024, so obviously I come into this with a bit more of the Nintendo only perspective because as we established, I either combust and or melt if I try and play any other console. And I do think like for the 8th year of the Switch's life, like Nintendo deserves. They didn't win big at the Game Awards. They have no like. This wasn't a banner year for Nintendo, but they definitely earned like a participation trophy this year. I mean, they put out 11 games in the 8th year of Switch. Like that's. I don't recall Nintendo console in the last years of its like the Twilight years like this getting that many games, and it was like a lot of variety. I mean, there was unexpected IP revivals. There's like Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Another Code, Endless Ocean. And obviously the big teams are working on like Switch 2 stuff or like Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends, but we still got some new ideas and existing IPs. Echoes of Wisdom did some interesting stuff. Mario and Luigi came back in some interesting. I mean, heck, even Mario and Luigi like completed the holy trinity of Mario RPGs. We got all 3 flavors of Mario RPG: the original Mario RPG, the Paper Mario series, and Mario and Luigi, all in a 12-month window. So like, it wasn't a bad year for Nintendo, even third party wise. Like Monkey Ball, so Monkey Ball Banana Rumble was actually like a pretty cool exclusive Switch game. So like, it wasn't a bad year if you're into like these lesser franchises that now got a chance to be propped up a bit more. But ultimately, my pick for my game of the year, my favorite game of 2024 is the one that I least expected from Nintendo, even with them bringing back stuff like Endless Ocean and Another Code. I least expected from them in every way you can imagine that phrase meaning, and that was Emio the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club. That's my favorite game this year, both in the fact that it even exists. Like, who would have thought they do a sequel to Famicom Detective Club? But also in terms of what they put in the game, I didn't expect that from Nintendo. I mean, I talked about it at the time when I played it here on the show, but it goes in directions that you would never anticipate a Nintendo title going. It gets very dark. It gets surprisingly twisted. It's well written. It's engaging. It has not perfect gameplay, to be fair. Sometimes it is a visual novel. It is kind of, you just go through different menu trees and stuff. And sometimes you're left a little hanging with what you're supposed to do or which option you're supposed to go back to. But overall, it was just a really engaging. It was my first visual novel experience, and it was just a really engaging, fun, well done experience. And it was just so un-Nintendo yet still from Nintendo that I really felt like I was like on this like unexpected ride. Like usually we've been Nintendo fans for a long time. I've been a Nintendo fan for a long time, so I kind of know what to expect from their various properties and their various franchises. But this one was so new and so different that it was just really fun to play, and I had no idea I'd ever play it. They announced it with that weird teaser video. I was kind of like, oh, that's sort of interesting. Once they showed it was just a Famicom Detective Club. I tried the demo. They very smartly released the demo as 3 separate episodes over a span of like 10 days. So you'd keep coming back to play the next episode, and that worked. It got me invested like a TV show would or whatever. And next thing I knew, I had the game and I beat it within like a week, I think. And yeah, it was a really cool experience and just something kind of different. So for me, that really, as much as I enjoyed, like I was saying, like Echoes of Wisdom, doing some new stuff for Zelda in 2D, or like some of the Mario Party Jamboree, super fun. But in terms of like unique experiences that stood out to me this year in any game, not just Nintendo's own, I think MEO takes the cake. I think MEO is, it's my favorite game of 2024. Much to my own surprise. If you said this to me the day it was revealed, I never would have guessed. So that's my pick.
Congratulations, MEO.
Yes,
Smiling bastard.
MEO, and
you beat the odds.
And I hope
you're one of the good ones.
You're one of the good ones. I do hope, honestly, that this that did well enough that they will continue to put out more of these.
So
I think,
since the new Mount Edgeworth game also has like a movie read mode, does that make you more willing to play it because you don't have the figuring?
Well, let's back up for a sec. MEO, the Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club, is not fully a read mode only. You're still engaging with it. But it's possible that having experienced a more linear type of visual novel game, in the same way that I remember when What Remains of Edith Finch, when I played that on Switch years ago, and that's linear in its own way. It still has some gameplay, but in a very linear way. Like, I'm good with like it putting me through the paces, but in a very like straight path. Yeah. So it could have gameplay. It doesn't have to be movie mode only, but I might check it out. I mean, I beat the first Ace Attorney. I've always had kind of a soft spot for the series. It's just kind of a time investment. But I wouldn't be opposed.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
Also, really, really quick. Just got to do a quick pulse check. You already beat Echoes of Wisdom?
No, I did not, and I have 2 weeks, so I will. What was the bet again? I'm kind of afraid to ask.
There's a bet.
You guys
Did I forget something?
had a bet where if I didn't beat Echoes of Wisdom by the end of 2024, something would happen, and I don't remember what it was. And it's on a recording from a past episode, and I could go back and listen.
At bare minimum, I think you each get $1. That sounds like something.
No, it was more than that. I thought
it was more. Oh, okay.
I thought it was like you guys were gonna like do something.
Dinner?
Oh, that sounds weird. No, I feel like it had something to do with like. In my head, I had this idea that you guys were gonna take away my physical copy, so it would just never be part of my collection, even though I bought it. But that sounds too aggressive, so I don't think it was that. I think that's my nightmare. I don't know what it actually was. We'll go back to the Random Nintendo where I gave impressions and find it. I mean, excuse me, Randomer Nintendo. But yeah, there was a bet. I am acutely aware that the clock is ticking. I do enjoy Echoes of Wisdom, so I will go back.
Maybe it was just like $1 or something like that.
Maybe it was. But still, I can't, I don't want to lose, so I will go back. I will say, I was saying Nintendo deserves a participation trophy. They do get a little side credit. None of their games made a huge splash in the zeitgeist this year. But Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, I know you don't like it, Kevin. 60 million downloads, I heard the other day. I read somewhere. So that's Nintendo's zeitgeist gaming moment of 2024, I think. But it doesn't necessarily sway our favorite games of 2024. But just, I was saying they got a participation trophy technically through association and a login with a Nintendo account in the app. They do have Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket on as a notch on their belt this year.
Garbage.
So, credit where it's due.
Garbage.
Okay.
Garbage.
All right. So that's our favorite games of 2024 and Kevin's least favorite game of 2024. Next on the list would be our favorite shows of 2024. Let's just keep the same round robin going so no one's talking back to back. Kevin, what was your favorite show of the past year?
I'm giving it to Welcome to Wrexham, actually.
Okay.
I have been sort of, as much as I hate the sport, I love everything that doesn't have to do with watching football, soccer, whatever you want to call it.
Football.
Excuse me. I've already I gushed about Blue Lock, or at least the manga, last episode. I'm excited for that FIFU game. And like Welcome to Wrexham is just like a really well done documentary following the lives of a gin baron that is Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney
Jin Baron.
I think they say that in the first episode. So I'm not.
Oh, dude,
I'm not. No, I'm not. I am not great. Yeah, you're giving me too much credit.
Jin and Mint Mobile. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, seeing the lives of these players and the community, it's just like I don't like heartwarming stuff. That's why I refuse to watch like Ted Lasso, because that show I hear is just too like feel good. Like I want some conflict. And for as heartwarming as the show is, there is still conflict in that happens. But it's all actually real and not just, a writer putting these characters through the ringer, So yeah, so for that I'm giving it to I'm absolutely giving it to Welcome to Wrexham.
Well, congratulations to Welcome to Wrexham and to Jin Baron, Ryan Reynolds. Angel, what is your favorite show of 2024?
Damn, I watched even fewer shows this year, but it was actually still pretty easy. I'm gonna give it to Ace of Diamonds. I know it's an anime, but it's also a show, and I think just like comparing it to any series that I watched this year, like, yeah, I just had everything that I wanted, and then some stuff I didn't even know I even wanted from a show. Like, I think it was interesting that I think when I first started watching it, like just barely started watching it, and I mentioned that I had started it here on the podcast, and I think Kevin mentioned something along the lines of that it was one of his friends' like favorite anime or something like that.
It was one of my friends' boyfriend's favorite anime.
And yeah, I did not think I would like it this much. It's a baseball anime. There's no superpowers. It's pretty grounded. But
Grounded, ground ball. I see what you did there.
But man, yeah, it's just great. Like it's kind of weird, like to kind of say that you feel seen in a show, because it's not like I really like go to a show to, like, watch characters have like relatable problems that they're dealing with. But I don't know. It's like both optimistic, but it doesn't shy away from also like showing like how mentally devastating even like how good news can be. I don't know. It's just great. I love it. I feel great and happy. I've had almost every range of emotion just watching that show, which is why it's easily my favorite anime and my favorite series of this year. And maybe, I don't know, yeah, it's just my favorite show right now. But yeah, Ace of Diamonds. So that's 2 categories. I mean, if someone had to be like, well, you have to pick a non-anime, then man, I don't even know what else I would pick, because I've only seen Kite Man, The Boys. I started DuckTales and Invincible Season 2, and none of those I feel like are enough for me to really want to give them an award for what they did. Not that any of them were necessarily bad. Oh, I'll give it to Cobra Kai if I had to give it to something. It was definitely very entertaining. And yeah, that's all I gotta say.
I will say, to back your gushing of Ace of Diamond, and congratulations on winning such a prestigious award, Ace of Diamond. We went, Angel, when you were last over at my place, we went on like a 15-minute walk to the nearby mall. The entire length of the walk, and then into the mall, you were gushing about Ace of Diamond the entire time. It was like 20 straight minutes of like in-depth gush. So I had a feeling that would be your pick. You really seem to love the show, and it sounds like it's like such a good fit for like what you're looking for. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too where, you just watch it at the right time. Like if I had seen it when it was airing like in 2016, it probably wouldn't have hit the same way as it did now. Kind of like when I first saw Whisper of the Heart versus when I rewatched it a couple years ago and it became like my favorite Ghibli movie. But yeah, and I mean the fact that like it just seems like very like serendipitous that when I was getting really into it was also around the time that they announced a new season after like a 6+ year hiatus. It's almost like, wow, it's like meant to be.
They
So all the
knew.
stars, yeah.
They knew. So
Would
you
you
say the
ever?
show's a grand slam? Hit a
Oh
home
yeah.
run?
No, yeah, easily, easily.
Would you ever
And
consider
even
watching another baseball series? I think we've talked about this in person.
uh, I mean, I'd consider it, but like I wouldn't. But I'm also not going like, oh, I need to watch another baseball show.
Mhm.
Like, I pretty much just like I'm just taking general recommendations. I mean, I have owned the first Slam Dunk movie on the history of the very first Slam Dunk ever for a couple months now, since like maybe two Jason Hangouts ago, and I still haven't watched it.
Yes. Yes.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
I
and I've
only asked
heard
because right now Mappa is actually doing one called Oblivion Battery.
math.
Mappa.
Oh, Mappa. Oh,
Mhm.
that could be kind of cool
Yeah.
with that studio. But yeah, definitely open to it. I mean, since I finished that and that was a 150 episode anime, like I just started right now Hunter x Hunter. It's a show that I know my brother really likes. I'm like 5 episodes in and I'm enjoying it. I'm really like the intro, the first intro. Very about to go on a new adventure kind of vibe.
That is the only
But
intro. Spoiler.
what?
Yep.
I think also 150 episodes.
That is the only intro.
Huh.
Welcome to non-anime, even though it's
I,
still an
I think
anime.
I think
Most
every
shows only have one intro.
I think every other
Or they're like a
season.
tongue-in-cheek kind of answer where it's like the other ones don't count because they're also bad. That's the
No, no,
only
no, no,
intro.
no. They're no, because I really don't like the intro. I think every other season or like every other opening, it goes from like, because the name of the song is Departure, and then it's like
Hmm.
Departure like club mix, and then the next season goes back to
What the
Departure,
heck?
and then it goes back to like the club mix or something like that.
Huh. That's
Club
can't
mix.
say I've
All
ever
right,
heard
it's
an
definitely
anime do
not club
this.
mix, but it's some sort of remix.
I like to think it's club mix, and it's just a steady 4/4 throughout the whole song.
Departure song.
Huh.
That's it.
Man.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, guess I'll see you soon enough.
Yeah.
Well, congrats again to Ace of Diamond, and I guess indirectly Cobra Kai for getting the Pity If You Can't Do Anime award. But don't worry, Cobra Kai, you might win something later. Spoiler hint. Anyway, my favorite show is not Cobra Kai. My favorite show of 2024. This was actually kind of hard, not gonna lie. I watched a fair amount this year, but like The Bear was good, but it wasn't as good as season 2 because we need the back half to happen of season 4 to like make the front half make sense more. You know what I mean? Like it has to like it's like half of a season. So I'm actually gonna give it to one that really surprised me, The Penguin on HBO. I like the Batman movie, the Matt Reeves Batman. I like Colin Farrell's Penguin. But I was just kind of watching the show, like, yeah, I mean, it's. I like the movie. I'll check out the show, and I was really kind of blown away by the show. Less so because of the Penguin himself, and more so because of what they did with Sophia Falcone, who's played by Kristen Milioti, who you may know from Palm Springs, the movie with Andy Samberg, from Made for Love, which was kind of an interesting 2-season HBO Max show, where she is sort of trapped figuratively and physically in like a relationship with a tech billionaire. She also was the mom at the end of How I Met Your Mother. But and I've always liked her in various stuff, but she kills it in The Penguin. Like the Sophia Falcone arc is the actual real, I feel like, meat of the show, and it's so well done. I mean, it's basically the show has a fair number of like kind of mobster tropes, Gotham's obviously New York and all that. But it's just seeing the rise of the Penguin and more so Sophia Falcone's ebb and flow through her family and how she impacts the Penguin and his rise and just like the dynamic between them, and the Penguin has like a right hand man, and kind of the story of him and that guy, this like teenager, like it's just really better than I thought it would be by a lot. And I already was pretty into the idea of the show because of the movie, but I can't think of a show where I've come out, like a spin-off show where I've come out and it's left me more excited for the next movie. Like there's been times like with the Marvel stuff where I'm like, oh, I'll be interested to see what they do in the movies, but the movies are still like the meat and potatoes of it, and the shows are kind of like the side project. Like even Loki, it's like, oh, well, this will have implications in the movie. I wonder what they'll do with that. But with Penguin, I feel like I was very like, I want to see these characters in the movie. I want more of Sophia Falcone. I want more of like Penguin as we've seen him in this full show, not just the like couple scenes in the first movie. Like it really got me way more invested in like the Matt Reeves version of Batman, and it's just really well done. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out, it's like 8 episodes. It ends like I feel like it has like a perfect like ending scene. Like it's just really the arcs and everything. It's not just like a cash in. It if the Marvel shows, as much as I do enjoy watching those, feel like they're kind of just like stringing together things for the movies, this actually feels like a fully developed show that will then just happen to also be involved with the movie. Like it's not a piece to explain something later. It's its own thing, and I was really impressed with it. So I'm going to give my favorite show of 2024 to The Penguin, and I encourage you to check it out if you haven't watched it yet. It's really good.
Congratulations to The Penguin.
Indeed. Also, they had a really cool Comic-Con pop-up event. Does not sway my opinion in picking the show, just having watched the show, I appreciated the pop-up more because there are a lot of references back and forth between the two of them. Anyway, okay, next category. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch these around because we already were kind of talking about it, so let's just finish talking about it. Best favorite, anime of 2024, which for some reason on our list says anime wow FU. I don't know who we're saying FU to, anime, but yeah. So, Kevin, what's your favorite anime of the year?
I mean, if you know anything about me, it's Dan to Dan. It was always going to be Dan to Dan.
Yeah, I figured.
This Thursday's the last episode of the season. Very bummed out. But I think in about a week or two, we find out when the next... I don't know whether they're going to call it the next season, the next part of season 1. But whatever the next set of episodes are, I think we're going to get an announcement in about 2 weeks. Rumors are it's going to be summer of next year, so at least it's not going to be like a years-long break like some anime do, like Attack on Titan, stuff like that. So, but yeah, Dandadan Science Hour's been killing it. I love it. It's truly a perfect adaptation of that manga.
Nice. Congratulations to Dan. Oh, wait, say Dan the way they do the thing?
No,
do the thing, Ken. Do the thing.
Nope. I'm not going to do the thing.
Well, congratulations to Dan. You know the thing if you know the show. Angel, what? I think I know the answer, but I have to technically pose the question. Just like when Astrobot swept at the Game Awards, they still said it every time as if they didn't know it might win. So, Angel, what's your favorite anime of 2024?
Ace of Diamonds, for everything I said in the show section.
Yeah,
please refer to favorite TV show.
Yes, yeah. See above. Or see before, I guess. Yeah. Rewind the clock. Turn back the clock. Okay. My favorite anime of 2020. Now, technically, I did watch one this year. I, as we mentioned, watched Look Back with Angel. And I did enjoy it. But I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball. My favorite anime is a live action show, but it feels like an anime. They just need to add the little action lines in the background of the moves. Cobra Kai. I said I'd come back to it.
That
Cobra Kai
count.
has basically become an anime.
That doesn't count at all.
Last year,
so we're just doing whatever we want, huh?
Yeah, we just
last year. Yeah. Hold up.
At least an anime is still a show. But anyway,
Cobra Kai's a show. Last year, you guys let me say Bob's Burgers as my favorite anime. So I'm not totally out of pocket.
Yeah, we let you make that exception.
Yes, no, on a technicality, yes.
Yeah.
On a technicality, yes, Look Back would be my favorite. That's when I'll actually get the word. But I do want to shout out Cobra Kai for basically becoming a live-action anime and everything but art style. Like, it has gone to, I mean, Angel kind of touched on it, but it's just a wacky fun. It's gone to crazy heights. It feels like the fighting literally is over the top. There's one part where they're literally fighting on top of a stage, not on the stage. They're on a platform hovering above the stage, Smash Bros. Style, and they kept getting kicked off it. And they just fall to the lower stage, and then they have to climb back up. It's very anime and everything but animation. So if I can bend the rules, I would give the award to that. But since I can't, Look Back does deserve it. It has some very cool, does some very cool stuff with its, I guess you call it cinematography. in Look Back. I like a lot of the shots that were really creative, and it's a good story. So I'll give it to Look Back. If everyone's going to push back on Cobra Kai, I'll give it to Look Back.
Congratulations, Look Back, for winning anime of the year
And
in the
congratulations,
anime
Cobra Kai, for winning.
category.
And congratulations, Cobra Kai, for winning Anime in My Heart. Next category.
Dude,
Wow, I didn't
my
expect
favorite
such-
anime, honestly, was probably Paramore's newest album that came out last year. That was my favorite anime, as a matter of fact.
All right, fine. Look Back, you win it, you deserve it. Next category that we skipped a second ago. What's everyone's favorite movie of 2024? Starting with you, Kevin. And apparently we can use loose definitions. So if your movie's actually like a real life experience, that works too.
Yeah. This one was pretty easy. I didn't see that many movies this year. I didn't see a lot of new movies that came out this year. I didn't see a lot of movies that came out prior, or maybe I did and I just didn't write them down. But like the one that I enjoyed the most this year that I can remember was actually Alien Romulus.
I still need to see that.
That movie was fantastic. I want more. Give me more. Because that was probably my favorite Alien movie. Probably just like right behind the original.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty high praise. It is kind of a throwback to the original in the way that like Episode 7 was for Star Wars, right? Like kind of a reimagining of the
Something like
vibes
that.
of the first. Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations to Alien Romulus, and that reminds me, I do need to watch it. It's on, I think, Disney Plus and Hulu now, so maybe I'll
Yeah, it's probably on Hulu already.
take your award as a recommendation and go check it out. Yeah. Angel, what about you? Favorite movie of 2024?
It's a tough one. I actually went to the movies a lot this year. When I was looking, I catalog all the movies I watch as well as if I rewatch any. And I did watch Look Back twice. And that one was a pretty good front runner after watching it because, damn, it was just so great. But, I mean, this year also gave us Transformers 1, which didn't have, like, the best start, but, man, I still love the heck out of it. Like,
It's fun.
Enough for me, like, to still, like I still really kind of want to give a game movie of the year. But at the same time, like, looking back at this year, I'm like, well, this was this year. I forgot we watched Madam Web in March, apparently.
I forgot about that.
And then apparently, I forgot this year was also Godzilla vs. Kong. There was Monkey Man, Robot Dreams. Not that I would give it to those, but like, they were fun.
Although, yeah, Robot Dreams certainly has charm, to be fair.
And then, man, but I don't know. I think, I don't know. It's like really close. It's between Look Back and Gurren Lagann, Lights in the Sky or Stars. Because that one, man, it's still like kind of blew my mind just at the end. It gave me the same kind of like feeling I got after watching the first Spider-Verse, where it was just like, man, this is why you pick the medium of animation to tell a story like this, because I cannot see how you could like do this or just even like fathom the imagination and just creativity of this team. Like, it's just crazy. And it's just like a nice reminder of why I love that medium so much, be it anime, animation, Western, Eastern, whatever. I don't know. I think because of that, I will give it to the second Gurren Lagann movie, especially because Look Back, while I do love it a ton, it is also like a love letter to art, and Gurren Lagann is like basically the result of that. But yeah, it was amazing. Thank you, Kevin, for getting me to go watch it. It was definitely worth the very neck breaky, whiplashy first movie.
Oh yeah,
that was great.
I guess for my movie of the year, it's funny because I made that crack about or it could be a real life event, but weirdly I didn't think about this when I said it. But weirdly, part of the reason it's my movie of the year was because of how we watched it and the real life event in which we watched it. I'm gonna give it to Deadpool and Wolverine. It's just fun. It was so we talked about when we talked about it during Comic-Con, but in our Comic-Con episode, but the way that Kevin and I got to watch it was at Comic-Con in Hall H, 6,000 people, the cast, the surprise guests from the movie, like the surprise cameos came out at the end. Like, it was just a really cool experience. And I haven't had very many movie going experiences where the crowd is like that into it. I think Avengers Endgame with the on your left moment is probably the closest I've been where a movie like the people went crazy, but that made people going that crazy for that many things. Obviously, there's a lot of nostalgia bait in it from like the Fox era of X-Men that, kind of connected with me, but it's just a really fun movie. And it wasn't just watching it at Comic-Con that confirmed it's fun. I've seen it 2 more times since with different people. It's been fun every time. I've enjoyed it every time. I will say if you do watch it with subtitles on, they kind of take some of the fun out of Gambit because like not being able to understand is part of fun. And if you can read what he's saying while the lines are still funny, it's not as funny. He was the funniest thing in that movie to me, and it was a little less funny when I could actually read what he was saying. But besides that, it held up all 3 times I've seen it. It's just fun. I had a really fun time watching it. Definitely one of the most memorable movie going experiences seeing it at Comic-Con. So yeah, for me, that is my favorite movie of 2024. Although to Angel's point, it was a good year for like kind of over the top or charming or fun movie. Like every type of movie, it was a good year for it. Be it Robot Dreams or Godzilla versus Kong and their space fighting or whatever. Like it was a fun year, but that definitely took the cake for me. So that is best movies or favorite movies of ours. On to the next category. We're going to zigzag back to Japan. Favorite manga and or literature. Should you not have a manga? Kevin?
Yeah, for as bad. Well, actually, the last 2 episodes of Blue Lock have been really, really good animation wise. The Blue Lock manga is fantastic. It's one of the most intense mangas that I've ever read, and it's a manga about soccer. Yeah, I mean, I love the series. I will actually send you guys a photo of like a panel that like is so raw with intensity, and it's it's a moment shared between 2 teammates. Give me a second here. I don't remember where I actually have it. Keep dead air. Blah, blah, blah. Here it is.
Killing time. Little, let's all go to the lobby. Concessions dancing. Da da da.
To the desktop. Open this up. Upload file. Blah. And I guess I'll just like post this up on my Twitter as well. Like, boom. This is
opening the image, loading the image. Why is it not opening? Yeah, there we go.
That moment, and I'm not going to get into details of what it is, but that top panel is the main character telling that to the guy in the bottom panel, who's his teammate. Mm-hmm. And the reason that he's reacting like that is because his teammate stole his score, his goal. Like that's how much intensity there is in this.
That's intense. Yeah, that's like that's intense for what it is.
And that's across pretty much like every character. And there's like 12 main characters in the series. It's like it's wild. I love this. It's so hype.
Is the person in the third panel the teammate?
The person in the third panel, the one all the way at the bottom. Mm-hmm. That's their coach. Yeah. So.
Damn.
Love this.
Congratulations to Blue Lock on an intense panel and a favorite anime or manga of the year win for Kevin. Angel, what you got? What's yours?
Well, I did start reading I guess compendium of Conan the Barbarian. Funny made it through the first book. And that's been cool so far. But, it's so early that's like literally the first 20 pages. The book is more like a short, it's more like a short story of anything. That still took me a while to get through because, it's kind of dense with the language and the vernacular that they're using. But it's been entertaining. But mainly it's been a very nice contrast to see this or read this and then having seen the Conan movies with Arnold and just thinking like, damn, it's almost like they just took the character's name and just made up a completely different thing because they're almost like very different characters. But that's something I've been reading. But I did start reading Berserk this year. And by this year, I mean like about a month and a half ago. So I'm like a couple chapters in. I don't know if you've read Berserk, Kevin.
I have the first like hardcover volume.
The
Like
big,
still,
thick black.
yeah, yeah, yep, the big thick
Yeah.
black. Yep.
Yeah. So one of my coworkers just has like the first 7 of those, and they're like, "Hey, if any of you want to read it, go ahead." And I'm like, "Oh, sure, I'll check them out." Yeah, it definitely starts pretty intense with that first page, but then it kind of comes down. But yeah, so that's been. I mean, yeah, the like this drawing or this panel that you shared kind of reminds me of a lot of the panels I've seen in Berserk, or at least like in that very rough, just like pure like yeah, I guess like ragey style.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, I don't know what to give it to. I mean, I guess I did finish. Oh, I guess I did start reading Solo Leveling this year. I've made it through 9 of the books, and I finished them relatively quickly. Um, it does make me realize that I should read more manga, but I'll give it to Solo Leveling for now because it's been a while since I've just watched what I'm considering kind of like just a very simple power fantasy story. It's kind of like One Punch Man, but it plays it a little straighter. Where One Punch Man is, kind of like a satire. Like he's just the strongest person already. This person is basically, or at least what we think is the strongest person. There's some allure going on in the background, but it's fun. And for oh my god, it's a Korean. I guess it's technically a manhwa. I think that's the proper term for it.
Yeah, manhwa.
And oh yeah, I mean the art is just great. The action in it, like it feels like I'm watching like it moving, like just the way it's all choreographed. It's almost like maybe to their detriment, the coloring, because it's it's full color. And the panels are rendered in such a way that it almost looks like they got screenshots from the anime, which only barely has its second season airing, I think, next month, which is still, I think, within the first book, maybe the second one, but I'm on the 9th. So, yeah, I think I've seen or read a graphic novel that feels like I'm watching screenshots from the show, but in a good way. I would say in a good way. Sometimes that could feel kind of cheap, where I know when it was like a graphic novel version of Pokemon, the first movie, and it was literally just screenshots, and that feels kind of cheap.
Oh, that's
Where,
cheap.
yeah,
That is
where
cheap.
it's
Doesn't
like,
feel
oh,
cheap.
they literally didn't do anything. They just like screen grabbed random parts of the movie. But yeah, Solo Leveling. It's been fun. That one feels like fun. I guess comfort food. Like, if you just like crazy action and over the top character dynamics, then yeah, I'm sure you'll find something to enjoy. I still haven't really seen the anime. I think I've maybe seen the first couple episodes and just noticed that the pacing is definitely very different. Like you're getting characters introduced much earlier than you did in the manhwa, but I'm sure it's obviously for its own reasons because it's a more passive medium. But yeah, give it to Solo Leveling. Looking forward to reading more and seeing where the mystery takes it. It's definitely one of those shows where the ending could make it or break it because it's like it's literally just been building up to this one mystery this whole time. So if it delivers, it'll be awesome. If it doesn't, yeah, it'll just be remembered for that. But yeah, that's all I got.
Well, congratulations, Solo Leveling. I don't have a manga I read, and I really read, unless you let me count like the 100+ page booklet for building my Super Mario World Legos. I didn't really consume much literature in terms of like things that have
Let's say
pages that
literature.
return.
I mean,
So
didn't you read? You didn't even read any of those game compendiums,
Oh,
encyclopedia
that's
thing.
true. You do give me those awesome game compendiums. Yeah, you've given me a Virtual Boy one, a Game Boy one, an N64 one. Those are very cool. A GameCube one. Those are very cool. Yeah, it's so for those who haven't, I forgot what company makes them, but they're these unofficial, essentially giant encyclopedias of every game that's come out for various Nintendo consoles over the years. And Angel has very graciously been giving me a different consoles book basically annually for my birthday. And yeah, those are always very fun to flip through. They have sales data. They have all the different types of box arts from all the different regions. They have obviously some screenshots, some background story on some of the games. It's those are actually very fun. So yeah, I guess I could consider this. I didn't really think about that as like a literature, but it is. It straight up is. So yeah, I will give it to the whole series of those books I can't remember who makes or what they're technically called. But congratulations, you know who you are, books. But no, those are super cool. Always enjoy flipping through those. They are like made for me and my weird business side of Nintendo and history side of Nintendo brain. So yeah, they're always very fun to flip through. So thank you, Angel. That was a very good suggestion for who I should give it to. So I'll give it to the whole set of them, even though it's been over multiple years. So congratulations, books.
You got one this year?
I think you got me the
It must
Game
have been
Boy
the
one this
GameCube
year,
one.
right?
I think it was
Or the GameCube one. Yeah, it was the GameCube one. Because you gave me N64, then I think Game Boy, which included Virtual Boy. And then I
Yeah.
think
Oh, then it must have been the Virtual Boy
yeah.
one. Whichever one they released this year. But yeah.
It was the Virtual Boy one, I think. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah. You gave me N64, then GameCube, then Virtual Boy. Yep. Virtual Boy / Game Boy. But yeah, no, they're very cool. That was, yes. Congrats, books. You know who you are. Which brings us to our next category. I really feel like I should look up what the name of these actually is. They're in your Amazon history, I'm sure, Angel, if you want to look up what they're called real quick.
Geeks-Line Publishing. It wasn't from Amazon. I got it from the retailer, well, from the manufacturer directly.
Okay.
But yeah, Geeks-Line Publishing. They're still available. Not the collector's edition versions. But
they're called Geeks-Line Publishing, yeah, anthologies. So there's the GameCube anthology, maybe you just got me, the Game Boy one looks separate now. Virtual Boy and Game Boy, that's when you got me. Virtual and Game Boy, GameCube, N64. They all have like cool, like kind of line arty covers that all go well together. Like they're like a set. They're like when you're a kid, if you're of the right age, and you have like at your school like all the encyclopedias and they all match, but they're for like different letters or different thing. You know, it'd be like the A book, the B book, but they all go well together. Like these are that, but for like Nintendo history. It's really cool. Yeah. So yes, Geeks-Line, you get the congratulations now that we know your name. Which brings us to our next category: music, album, soundtrack, audio experience, anything that you have put into your ears that you want to shout out as your favorite thing that went into your ears in 2024. This is the moment. So Kevin, you're up first.
Oh, I'm up first. Okay. Originally, I was going to give it to the new Cage the Elephant album, Neon Pill. Because I did really enjoy that album. It's not their best, far from their worst. And like their worst is like a 6 out of 10 at worst. But then I remembered that earlier this year, I listened to an album that has been, or that, you know, has this sort of legacy to it that I was like, it can't be that good because like the band's recent stuff I've just never been a fan of. But then I went to listen to their debut album and I was like, oh no, this is fantastic. This is a perfect album. And I am talking about the Blue Album by Weezer.
With like Sweater Song on there. And
Yeah,
stuff, right?
That album
Yeah.
is so goddamn good. So amazing. And like it took me 30 damn it, this 1 year, Jesus Christ.
Like 20 some odd years, I think, right?
Didn't
they just celebrate the 20th of it? Yeah.
Probably, yeah, that I think that's probably why I listened to it. Yeah,
It might be 30, I'm checking. Yeah.
It is
30. Oh my god, 30.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
30. It came out in 94. Yeah.
I was a year old when this album came out. No, this album is like perfection. It's probably in my top 10 albums of all time now. Yeah, it's just I just never understood I'm not the biggest Weezer fan. I like some of their more recent, or not even recent singles, but like they had a run with like Pork and Beans and a couple of other songs around there.
Gratitude's actually a pretty fun album, all things considered. The one Pork and Bean is on. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's all. I've only ever liked their songs. This album is I love this album. I don't think I'm going to become the biggest Weezer fan at all. I've listened to their second album, Pinkerton, which I think is also a pretty fantastic album. But apparently it just goes downhill from there. So I don't know if I'll continue listening to them, but like at least I have the Blue album with how just amazing it is. It's like the perfect garage rock record.
I definitely feel like, to your point about them going down, I feel like they went from like full albums to like good singles, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like every album they put out, there's one or two catchy songs, but the albums haven't pulled me. Yeah,
maybe
their
about
older stuff. Yeah,
maybe like a little bit before like COVID, they released a song called "Thank God for Girls," and that song's pretty good.
There's also one that's rather poppy by them called "Feels Like Summer." That's always stuck in my head randomly. So that one's.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
They were actually fun live. If you ever have the opportunity to see them live, I've seen them like at concerts for other artists that they were just like at. They're fun, and the crowd always like sings along to like, especially like the older stuff like Blue Album, Green Album, Pinkerton. Like they'll sing along to like Island in the Sun and Buddy Holly, and like it's a big sing along basically. So it's a fun live show.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, but all right, congrats Weezer out of left field. 30 years on, they're still winning awards.
GNX,
like the prestige.
In a close second place, though.
Is it because he screams mustard like he's in Dragon Ball Z? It is. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but like actually paid attention. I've had it in the background. Yeah, it's pretty good. I would agree. But all right, racking up the awards, Weezer. 30 years on. Angel, what is your album/soundtrack? I'm just reading exactly how I have it written /audio experience that topped your 2024 list.
Man, once again, it's been a pretty busy year with concerts and new experiences like that. I mean, I would say like as a highlight, it was definitely this artist that I really enjoy, Hyde, HYDE. They did one of the outros and I think an intro for Demon Slayer, at least their more recent one. But I got to see them live last month, and they did play that outro, which is really cool. As well as like their latest album, Inside, which I do also enjoy and heard a lot on Spotify. But I can't deny that I gotta give it to my Nintendo My Music app. It feels kind of like I'll use the word silly because I can't think of a better word right now. Because all that music, like, I've already kind of had, Nintendo wouldn't make the music available, so I kind of took matters into my own hands. Or purchased whatever I could, or just carried around the CDs that I had so I could hear them conveniently. But now that they have finally something official that lets me, loop songs for pretty much as long as I want, man, I have been using this so much, and it's just been so great. Like, even just, like, rediscovering new songs, like, or, like, like, I've been listening to the Splatoon 2 soundtrack probably way more than I thought I would. But, like, even just, like, to name a few songs that I have in a specific playlist that's just, like, my top favorite songs. Like, I got my friend Drona Drifts from Metroid Prime, or Mountain DDD from Game Boy Kirby, some Donkey Kong Country in there with some... Mario Odyssey, Mario Galaxy, Breath of the Wild, Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland, and of course, like N64 Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, man, I love this app. But, the only thing that is really unfortunate, and it only becomes more ironic when you're listening to the Splatoon music, is something that we brought up before. It's the fact that they don't credit the artist, but it's kind of funny that anytime you're listening to almost anything in Splatoon, it's like, oh, you're listening to Shooting Starfish by Turquoise. What is it? Not Turquoise Jeep. That's another.
That's a Lonely Island style comedy group. Yep.
Oh yeah, by Turquoise October. So like you get the fictional artists get credited. You even have like songs like, like Title Rush featuring Callie by DJ Octavio, which is, it's
Yeah.
just kind of funny. Like the fact
It's like they're
that's
trying to make virtual pop stars in a way. Because like it's not like what's her name, the Japanese virtual pop star gets like the real artist credits ever either. I'm not saying that's good. It's not good, but I see what they're aiming at.
Yeah, and plus, you also have like a place that just compiles all the KK music. So if you ever want to just play all the KK music, which I did a few times, you can do that. But
What's really fun about that is they use the album art for each song as if
Yeah.
it was really KK Slayer's music. Same with the Splatoon music. It's all album art from those quote unquote artists. It's really clever.
it's definitely a conversation starter when you give someone a ride that you normally don't, and then they're just kind of listening to that, and they don't know what Animal Crossing is, and you're like, oh yeah, I just had that on already. But yeah, Nintendo Music app.
Congratulations, Nintendo Music, for winning Angel's audio experience for 2024, and I guess Hyde for winning as almost winning for
Yeah,
being
for
the
almo-
artist. If
Yeah,
there's
for
if
almost
there's like
winning
yeah,
experiences
for
because
runner up for silver medal in a
'Cause it was
award
a-
show that only has one award.
it was a
Yeah.
pretty awesome concert and album and all of that.
Well, for me, I mean, come on, guys, you know the answer. I've gushed about them in September when they did their comeback show I got to attend and had a great time at, and the surprise of it all and the hype building that they took us through where we didn't know what was happening until there they were performing. That was one thing. Then their album came out in November. Gotta do some listening parties. That was another thing. Now we're a month in. I'm still listening to y'all multiple times a day. It's only 30 minutes long, so it's very easy to loop. And I'm still loving it. So, hands down, no questions asked. My album of the year, my music of the year was the big Linkin Park comeback with From Zero. I'm very happy I have my favorite band back. The DNA of Linkin Park is still there through and through. It's obviously not the same without Chester, but Emily Armstrong steps into the role quite well, does her own thing. It still feels like Linkin Park, just a different era. And I've been very excited to have them back. I felt like in 2023, I might have said this at the Quarantinis in 2023, I felt like there was a lot happening in 2023 that was like very like my sort of fandom moment. A Nintendo theme park opened. A Mario movie came out. Like there are all these things that's like, man, that is like peak Jason fandom, freak out, hype. Yeah. And I didn't think 2024 would have one. And I was okay with that. Like you can't every year have like a crazy, like, oh my God, it's like the thing you. And then Linkin Park out of nowhere at the end of August was like, hey, what if we are back? And it's just been this fun ride for the last 4 months since. It's just always constant, new things happening. I mean, they were the intro and outro music at the Game Awards. So I was saying like, oh, Linkin Park's playing here now too. Like it just every little thing is great. As a fanboy, it was great. So yeah, they get my favorite music of 2024. Yeah, congrats, Linkin Park. I know that's the award that means most to you guys. So there you go. That there is one other audio thing I do want to bring up though. I don't know if I'm the only one that has this category. It's a new category in the Quarantinis. Favorite podcast you've listened to in 2024. Do you guys have one, or should I just launch into why I even brought this category into the fold?
Wait, you already knew this answer. I told you before we started recording. Are you making a fake narrative?
Wait. You told me you have a podcast? I thought you said you didn't have a podcast.
No, I said
So
no.
that
I said you already knew the answer.
That you don't have a podcast.
Yes.
I don't want to assume, because in the past when we've talked before the show and then on the show, I'm like, Angel, you told me you didn't. You're like, what? Yes, I did. So I can't.
Well,
win with
joke's
you.
on you because no, I don't. I can't even pretend. I think the last podcast I listened to was last year, and it was the Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast, which I did keep up with for a little while. I was finding it very enjoyable, but then I think I just fell out of it. Not that it was getting boring or anything, but
once you lose the rhythm of keeping up with it, it's hard to get back.
Yeah, it's like every episode was essentially recapping an episode of the show in order, with like you kind of have like anecdotes and a bunch of things in between, which are admittedly very interesting, but at some point I guess I just kind of got tired of that, or just kind of felt like the same. I don't know, but I think maybe I may have listened to one episode this year just to kind of be like, am I gonna get back into this? And then I was like, nah, the moment's gone.
They stopped doing it apparently.
Oh shoot! All right, well,
Because Angel, you stopped listening. You led to its downfall.
All right, I killed it. Damn. All right.
but not in a good way. No, yeah. Kevin, did you have anything that you wanted to put into this category?
Nothing that like stood out. Like, don't get me wrong. I do have my I do have like my favorite podcasts for sure that I listen to weekly, but nothing that necessarily stood out, I guess.
That's fair.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like every week I will listen to the newest Kind of Funny in review episode. But like I said, nothing new that stood out this year. Just the same stuff that I've been listening to for years at this point.
Fair. I am shocked and dismayed that neither of you said random or Nintendo. But I guess we didn't preface the podcast. One, we don't listen to ourselves, and two, the technical category is favorite podcast that isn't us. I just didn't say that part. So, yeah, you guys out there listening can say it's us, and we'd love you if you did. But for me, the reason I want to ask category is there's a podcast that starts here. It's kind of a rewatch podcast, like Always Sunny's was, but it's the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast. And as you guys know, and Kevin, as you were continually perplexed by, I'm a big fan of SNL. I like SNL. I like all the, not just like watching show, but like all the like ins and outs of like, because it's a very interesting atmosphere to SNL. It's like a pressure cooker every week. And then like all this talent comes through and goes on to be like such bigger and better. It's like a pressure cooker / like launch pad for like all this comedic talent and all these like folks. And what Seth Meyers and The Lonely Island, so Andy Samberg and those other, and Jordan Cohn and Akiva, all what they do is they go through every episode of SNL where they had a digital short back in the day and talk about the digital short, how it came together, what else happened in that episode of SNL. But because it's so varied, because it's a variety show and there's different hosts and there's different circumstances, it doesn't feel like it hits the wall that I think you hit with Sunny Angel, where it doesn't feel too like rote and repetitive. Like it's not like, oh, well, now they're talking about this with this episode. Like, yes, they are, but now here's a story about like, oh, well, when we brought in Shia LaBeouf to do Dear Sister and da-da-da-da-da-da, or when we did Jonah Hill with the short Jonah Hill's dad, like, and it's just like everything's always a little different. So it has more variety, kind of like the show SNL itself does. So I've been really enjoying that. What's also been fun about it, I mean, I'm a huge Lonely Island fan in general. Like I like their albums a lot and stuff. And what's also been kind of fun is coincidentally, after this got off the ground, Andy Samberg started going back to SNL to play Kamala Harris's husband, Doug, before the election when they were still doing Her and Him. And he started like doing digital shorts again with The Lonely Island and SNL. Like they put out 2 songs. And so the podcast would be this retrospective thing about like digital shorts from 10 years ago with weird little anecdotes. Like apparently Dick in a Box, when they're trying, I think it was Dick in a Box. It must have been when they were trying to come up with that. Someone at one point noticed the line for the Wii across the street at the Nintendo store. And somehow, I'm not saying Wii led to, like the name Wii led to the joke, but something about, oh, well, like a big hot gift. Like the Wii's really popular right now. And then that somehow evolved to, well, what if the gift is? And so just like weird little inside stories like that. Like somehow the Wii indirectly led to that song. Like that's kind of fun. But what's been fun with him being back at SNL is it's not retrospective. It's literally like, so last week we made this digital short. Here's how we did. Here's how it came together. And it's all like very just like, yeah, so 3 days ago we were filming and it was like, and it's just like really interesting to hear both how it used to be decades ago from what they remember and like literally like the play by play of, well, here's how different it is in the year 2024. Like we had sound stages now and like all this other stuff and just talking about that. And it also helps that Seth Meyers and Andy Samberg and the Lonely Island guys, specifically Seth and Andy, are super good friends in real life and they're all really good friends in real life. So it's very, they go on tangents, they banter, it's like a normal podcast. It's not like too dragged into like the weeds of like, well, here's the nitty gritty of how this came together. It's really fun. Yeah. It's one of the most, I think besides like Conan's podcast is probably the most consistent I've ever listened to a podcast. So yeah, so that's why I wanted to shout it out. So congrats to The Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast on being my Quarantini for best podcast of 2024.
I just remembered my actual favorite thing that I put in my ears was a Sushi Glory Hole.
It's a good song, right?
Great song.
Right. And like the production's really good on it. Have you heard the second one they did?
I have not.
Here We Go.
Not yet.
It's not out on streaming yet, but basically the premise is Andy plays a white guy who loves to call the cops on other people in his neighborhood.
Okay. All right, I'll give it a listen after this.
It's a little poppier. It's kind of more. It's almost like a Charlie Puth sounding sort of song. Charlie XCX plays his wife. It's pretty good. Watch the video. It's pretty fun. Yeah. So that's best podcast. Next category, even prior Vegas category, second Vegas category. Favorite thing you did in the year 2024. Kevin, do you have something for that?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Spain this year.
Oh, right, that did happen this year.
Yep. Loved every minute of it. We'll see if we go again this upcoming year, but I think the plan is to go to Dublin this year, so we'll see.
Nice. Congratulations to the country of Spain on winning a Quarantini. Angel, what about you? What was your favorite? It's such a vague, like, that's why I was like, do you even have anything? It's such a vague, like, thing. But what was your thing, Angel?
I mean, I think it should be obvious for anyone that heard an episode of last month. Was it? I don't
Was
remember
it
when.
Japan?
But
Was it
yeah,
Japan?
it was, no. Why would it be Japan?
You just said yeah. You just said yeah.
No, I was just saying yes because I thought you were going to get it right. Wow. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, of course. It was the trip to Japan.
See, this is why I sometimes fake that I know the answers already, because you still... Go ahead. You carry on.
You're always faking it? Yeah, it was Japan. It was so great spending with the family. So it's great to go back. Can't wait to go back. Already planning the trip for when I go back. But yeah, Japan. That is the big one. For more.
Congratulations also to the country of Japan.
Or whenever it was.
Maybe we should have called this category best travels or favorite travels or something, because mine's also a trip. Congratulations to the country of South Africa. Went there in March, did some sightseeing in Cape Town, but also did 5 days of safari. Very cool experience. I was fortunate enough to get to do this twice somehow. But the second time, like, we got to see all the big animals you can see. There's something called the Big Five. We're able to see all five. Like rhino, elephant, like it's a list. But also we just had really cool experiences on those safaris. I think I mentioned this way back in March when I talked about it on the show, but one night we're driving back. You usually go out around sunset and then come back right after dark. And they pulled over. And next thing we knew, there were like 9 lions around us. And there were elephants around us another time at night. And we just heard like the trees snapping and then like walking past us. And it was like really cool. There was one morning we got caught in a rainstorm and had to like race back full speed, which was actually really fun. Like, it was such heavy rain. But it was a really cool experience, and obviously seeing all the animals up close and getting to do all that and getting to basically, it's almost like kind of a second honeymoon for me and Rachel, because it was actually like 8 weeks after our actual honeymoon. But yeah, it was just a really cool like experience to get to do that trip. So yeah, that's my favorite thing. But very close second, not gonna lie, is probably the Linkin Park surprise show. But no, definitely the award goes to South Africa, and it was really fun to spend that time with Rachel and her family doing those safaris. So yeah, so congratulations to multiple countries on winning Quarantine. That's a first. I think first time giving awards to countries. But yeah. And our final, see, now we're at the part of the award show, like every award show, where it's just dragging really long. We're at 2 hours already. But our final category, if anyone has anything, favorite miscellaneous thing you want to shout out that you haven't yet shouted out that you think deserves an award?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Okay. That's fair. Angel, do you have something while Kevin thinks?
You know what? I don't know if I started eating there. Oh, it was. I have eaten at Kokuchibanya before, but I think this was the year where it started to become an actual regular place I go to, maybe at least twice a month. And yeah, I just wanted to give them a big shout out. I've tried a few new variations of curry from some different styles of the chicken, the breaded chicken, the beef, what is another one that I've had? One with steak. I don't know, but it's all been amazing. And I feel like this year just gave me a new appreciation for Japanese curry. So at least for
What would
food,
the,
I want to give it I guess it's for favorite food this year. I'll give it to
favorite food.
curry.
Yeah.
Because I've also tried curry for the first time from various different locations. Like I normally get, obviously, the ramen at Daikakuya, because that's what you go there for. But they had curry there, once, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out, and it was good. I also really like the one from Chinchinkurin at Little Tokyo. Normally, you go there for the okonomiyaki. It's like that's like it's almost like noodle pancake. It's like the easiest way I could describe it. But they also had a curry, and I tried it, and it was also amazing. So, but they all tasted different. So I still have a reason to try each one because they're all great in their own way. But yeah, it's a random
Well, congratulations to
miscellaneous.
Curry for best food. Is that what we're saying the Quarantini specifically for?
Best food.
All
But
right,
if I had
best
to give it
food.
to a restaurant for making the best curry, it would definitely be Kokojibanya.
Kevin, did that buy you time to think of anything you wanted to throw in?
Not really. I can't really think of anything. Shout out to LG for finally having the Crunchyroll native app, so that I don't have to turn on my PS5. So, good job, LG.
And that is the most coveted Quarantini, is favorite television set that adds an app for Crunchyroll that lets you not have to turn on your PS5. So
Finally,
probably the
native
yeah.
Crunchyroll app.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do the cheesy one. I'm going to do favorite guys to do a podcast with you two. But no, seriously, it's always a fun time to podcast with you guys. And this was a good year of shows, I think. I think we got to do a lot of cool stuff, got to talk about a lot of fun stuff. And it's always fun to recap them here at the end of every year. And a quarantine to our listeners for putting up with my bad puns, our ridiculousness, our interrupting each other, all of it. Appreciate you guys too. But yeah, I don't have any other miscellaneous categories besides that. So with that, I think that's it. I think this is like where every award show just suddenly ends. Like they have the big grand introduction, big fancy thing, lots of awards, and then they're just like, okay, good night, and they're done. So I think we're at the good night. So this is, unless I'm mistaken, this is it for 2024 for Random or Nintendo. We will be back after the new year. We're taking holidays off, and we're going to have all sorts of stuff in 2025 to talk about, I'm sure. If nothing else, Switch 2. So yeah, to make sure you don't miss those shows when they happen, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast apps. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. We are on TuneIn. We are on, I almost said Stitcher. They don't exist anymore. We're on Amazon Music. We're on Pandora. We're on YouTube at Ram Nintendo. Our Twitter is at Ram Nintendo. We are individually on socials. I am JSR7 on Twitter and Threads. Kevin is KVN Gomi on Twitter and
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky?
Yep.
And Blue Sky. And Angel is World of Weros with an S at the end over on Instagram. And I think that's it. So thank you for tuning in for 2024 Quarantinis. We enjoyed having you. And now, since it's the final one of the year, I don't know if you're going to talk in unison. I don't know how this is going to work, but you both get the final word.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.